Hi guys, it's Aoife from Fred We Died Laughing, and I'm here to talk about all the books I read in the last week of February. So I managed to read 3 books this week. I'm reading about almost halfway through a 4th one at the moment. I don't know if I'll get that finished today or not. I probably won't. But I had a bit of a busy week just in terms of work, and then I had some social things as well, so I didn't get as much reading time as I normally do. So I only managed to finish the 3 books where normally I normally finish about 4 books, so I'm a bit disappointed that I didn't get another book read, but sure, what can you do? So the first book I read, I actually started it and finished it on Sunday night because I just got completely sucked into it. It was absolutely brilliant, and it was The Thing About Jellyfish by Ali Benjamin. I got this as a review copy from NetGalley, so thank you to NetGalley and the publishers, I think it's Little Brown Publishing, for that. This is about a story about a girl. I think she's 13 years old, and she finds out that her best friend died during the summer, and she kind of has a really hard time accepting the fact that her friend died, and her friend died from a drowning accident, and she has this really hard time kind of accepting that her friend had drowned. And she ends up doing a project. She ends up discovering the world of jellyfish, and she ends up kind of becoming completely immersed in this project about jellyfish and finding out everything she can about jellyfish. And she decides that her friend must have been stung by a jellyfish to cause her to drown, and she's like kind of sets herself on this mission to prove this. And it's just this really great book about kind of growing up and trying to figure yourself out, and kind of self-acceptance and all those awkward things you go through when you're that young, when you're 12, 13 years old, and you're not really a child, but then you're not really a teenager at the same time. You're kind of in this transition phase, and you know, you might not be cool enough for other people, and you get left behind. And there was just so much in this character that I was able to identify with. I really identified with her, just the struggles she was going through with not just not being able to make so many friends, and kind of being a little bit strange, and just not being this girl who is into boys and makeup and doing her hair, and she wants to go out and do other things, and that's not cool enough for everyone else, so she's very isolated. And I just really identified with that because I think we've all been through those really awkward early teenage years, and I thought it was a really great kind of exploration into that. And I was afraid the book would get bogged down in all these facts about jellyfish, and it really didn't. I was just kind of expecting it to be like an encyclopedia on jellyfish and just a little bit of a story, where thankfully it wasn't. And the little tips about the jellyfish are actually quite interesting. Like, you actually find out so much about jellyfish that you would never know. And I just adored this book, and there was a bit at the end as well that it actually just really touched me as well. And I didn't think that it was the kind of book that I'd like well up at or get emotional with, but I definitely had tears in my eyes at the end of the book. It was just absolutely brilliant, and I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. The next book I read is Blue Lily, Lily Blue by Maggie Stiefvater. This is the 3rd book in the Raven Boys series. Now, I am not a huge fan. I am not like this massive fangirl about the Raven Boys the way a lot of people are. A lot of people like absolutely rave about it, and I've never been one of these people. But it's been about a year and a half since I finished The Dream Thieves, which is the 2nd book in this series. So I think I kind of forgot how good the writing is in these books. Like, I don't want to become another person that's raving about this series, because this series is not my favourite series. I enjoy it. I enjoy Maggie Stiefvater's writing in it, but again, it's not my favourite series. But this book was just so good, and again, I basically finished this book in one day as well. I managed to read it all in one day, and I was really happy about that. But this just follows on. Obviously I can't say too much about the plot, but it just follows on with Blue, who is friends with all these boys called the Raven Boys, and Blue's family are all kind of witches and seers, and there's just something magical about them, and Blue is able to kind of bring out the magic in other people. She kind of just, I can't remember the word now, but she kind of makes powers better and more powerful for other people, even though she doesn't really have magical powers herself. And she just is friends with all these boys, and they just have this amazing relationship. And I actually quoted this quite long quote from the book in my Goodreads review, which I will link below, but it completely explained the relationship between Blue and these boys, and the relationship between the boys in blue and the relationship they all have with one another, and why this book is so great and why their friendship is so great. It's such a great gang of people and characters, and everyone is so different and magical, and they're like just their own personal selves. So you have all this like kind of magic within them that's just absolutely amazing, even if it's just ordinary magic and not actual magic. And yeah, it was just an absolute treat to go back to this book and enjoy it as much as I did, because I wasn't expecting to enjoy it as much as I did. So I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars, and I've steadily kind of increased the Raven Boys. For me, when I first read it, was a 3-star book. I think it's probably a 3.5 star now, as I've changed my ratings a little bit since then, how I rate books. And then the Dream Thieves was a 4 stars when I last read it, which was in May 2014, and this one is a 5 star. So they're just getting better and better and better. So I can't wait to read The Raven King, I think, which is the 4th and final book that's coming out this year, and I'm so excited to read this now, because this book was so good and I left off at such a great point, and I just need to know what happens now. Oh my god, I need to know what happens. And the 3rd book I managed to finish this week is The Miniaturist by Jessie Burton, and we just take a moment just to appreciate this cover. I adore this cover. I think it's absolutely beautiful. This is a story about a girl called Nella. She's 18 years old and she lives in she moves to Amsterdam after she marries this older man, and she moves into his house, and he's a bit strange. She doesn't really go into the married life she expects. She's living with her husband, who's kind of away a lot, and then his sister and their 2 servants, and she kind of starts discovering all these different things about the family that she's in, and you know what her role is expected to be within this household. And then she gets a present from her husband of this little kind of miniature house, and it's a perfect replica of the house that she's living in. And she gets in touch with this miniaturist, and she starts sending her all these little kind of miniatures of things that she shouldn't know about, or she shouldn't know just how like precise all the details are. She can't figure it out, and it's a little bit of magical realism, but at the same time I think it's up to the reader to decide whether this is actual magic or whether it's just someone being really like watchful and being really observant. It's just one of these kind of books that it just carries you, kind of flow along with it. And I don't want to say too much about it, because I think that's kind of the magic of this book as well. I didn't know a whole lot about this book and what the plot really was going in, and at first I wasn't really sure. First few chapters I was a bit like, I don't know about this book, but then I kind of just really got into the flow of it, and I got really attached. I started getting more attached to the characters. There's characters that come across really stern and kind of hard-faced at first, and then you kind of get to know them better, and you realise that they actually have really lovely hearts underneath that stern first impression. And you just get to know the characters, and even though some of the characters aren't really treating other people the way you would want them to be treated, you still feel for those characters, and you still want them all to have a happy ending. And you really don't know if there's going to be a happy ending or not. There's a bit of doom and gloom about the book, and it's just a really interesting read. It's one of those kind of, it's so unique. The story is so unique, and I can see why everyone loves this book so much. It was really good. I really enjoyed it, and I gave it 4 stars. And she has a new book coming out this year as well, Jessie Burton, so I have that on my TBR, and I'm definitely going to buy that, because I did just really love the flow of the writing in this book. I thought the writing was beautiful, and the descriptions and the prose, and it was just a really nice book to read. And yeah, so 4 out of 5 stars. And the book that I'm reading at the moment is Enchantress by James Maxwell. This was my February TBR jar pick of the month, and I am enjoying it so far. I'm about 30% through. This is about two siblings. They are Ella and Miro, and Ella is wanting to study to be an enchantress, which is kind of like a magician in this land, and Miro is studying to be, or training to be, this like really elite fighter in the army. And there is kind of this things happening in the country, and there's a war kind of on the horizon, and yeah, so that's really as far as I've gotten. I'm not really sure what the role Ella and Miro are to play in the war yet, but I do like the writing. It's a little bit slow at parts, but I am enjoying it. I am enjoying the story, and hopefully I will get a good chunk of it read tonight. I just haven't had the time the last couple of days to really sit down and read this book for a long period of time, so I'm hoping I'll get to do that tonight. But yeah, so far so good. It's looking to be maybe a 4-star read at the moment, so we will see how that goes. And seeing as it is the last week of February, I might as well take out my March TBR jar pick of the month, and we will see what I'll be reading from this jar in March. So the first book I picked out is The Reluctant Fundamentalist by Mohsin Hamid. This is a book that my gran read and she gave to me, and I can't remember if I still have this on my bookshelf or if I gave it away. I can't find it, but I'm going to look for it. But I picked out another one just in case I can't find it, and that is The Rhythmist, which I think is by Brandon Sanderson, if I'm not mistaken. And if it is, I'm really, really excited because I haven't read anything by Brandon Sanderson and I've been wanting to start. So yeah, so that is it for my last February wrap up of 2016. I hope you guys had a really good reading week. Please let me know all the books you've read below, if you've read any of the books I've read, or just like the video if you liked it and subscribe if you like my channel. And thank you for watching. I will see you guys again next time. Bye!